You know, America has only one enemy in the world. It's called Russia. But the truth may be more complicated than that. The biggest threat to this country is not Vladimir Putin. That's ludicrous. The biggest threat, obviously, is China. China spies on us more than any other country. It is behind the massive OPM hack carried out from 2012 through 2014. It has, of course, the world's largest population. It will soon have the world's largest economy. Its military is growing rapidly in strength. It even manufactures most of the fentanyl that is killing tens of thousands of Americans every year. Americans assume that this country is on top and will be forever, but could we find ourselves overtaken before we know it, imminently even? Michael Pillsbury is the director for the Center for Chinese Strategy at the Hudson Institute and one of the world's great experts on this exact subject. He's the author of the 100-Year Marathon, China's Secret Strategy to Replace America as the Global Superpower. He joins us tonight. Mr. Pillsbury, thanks for coming on.
Hi, thank you.
So you've written, I think, the central book on this question. So we'll just stipulate that what you say is true, because I think it is obviously true. So the question, which is, China wants to displace the United States as the most powerful nation in the world. Why isn't our leadership, political, media, cultural, sounding the alarm on this? Because it's happening.
Well, there's lots of pretty good reasons. Lots of companies and individuals have made large amounts of money in China. I hate to be so crass about it, but I have a colleague who invested $200 million. 6 years later, he had $2 billion in return. That can be a pretty big motivator. Second, you have inertia. You have the opening by Kissinger and Nixon, the Bush family being very proud of their connections with China. You have this almost a strong effort 10 years ago to set up G2, America and China together would sort of rule the world. That was backed by Henry Kissinger, Zbigniew Brzezinski, Hank Paulson, and quite a few people feel very strongly that the U.S. and China together can kind of control the world. I've had admirals and generals tell me that they want to cooperate with the Chinese military. So this goodwill feeling of cooperation with China is the way to go. That's still very strong. I think that explains also why President Trump has a lot of pressure on him from the bureaucracy, from some in Congress, not all. Chuck Schumer, of all people, supports President Trump's tariffs, for example. But this momentum is still there. The third thing is what I would call intelligence failure. The U.S. intelligence community has been wrong about several major things from 1950 on, and it looks like understanding just how sophisticated China was going to be in ripping off our technology, jobs, influencing our political system, that seems to have been gotten wrong. I think the intelligence community is back on track now. They're doing very well. But that also caused a kind of a sluggishness in our response to China, I would say. Now we're much faster, though. Over the last 6 months or so, a great deal of change has taken place in the U.S. understanding of China.
I hope that's right. So back to something you said a second ago, and I've heard people say that we can kind of share the world stage, share management of the world with China.
Right.
Does China have any interest in sharing that with us?
You know, they turned us down. Several people made these offers of the so-called G2 plan. And the Chinese scholars who are allowed to talk about it in articles and books said, no, you know, we really don't want to be number two as a junior partner with America. So they're waiting for later when I think they'll be number one, unless we take a lot of steps to make it not happen. We've got to deny them technological supremacy. That's the first thing. The second thing is we've got to understand better how deeply embedded they are in our companies, in our social life, in our academic world. We really we had a luxury with the Russians of the Soviet Union was way over there. We didn't have much to do with them. They certainly didn't have any massive business enterprises with us. China is deeply inside us. And so we don't want to demonize them totally. We cause problems in our own political system. But we've got to be more aware of just how sophisticated they are.
Well, we're spending the next month on a special series on China, and I hope that you will come back, Michael Pillsbury, for that. I can't think of a more important topic. I appreciate your coming on tonight. Thank you. Well, China is clearly a threat to our economy, if nothing else, and becoming more threatening. What can our Congress do about it? Senator Marco Rubio is a Republican representing the state of Florida.